Today we are going to present to you The Jungle, a book written by Upton Sinclair between 1905 and 1906. Many things in here that are still present in nowadays society. And first of all, I want to present to you these three questions. First of all, what is muckraking journalism? I don't know if you can write it down so as to you for paying attention later. The second one is, do you consider that the jungle had an impact on American society or any impact on society? American society. And the third one is, what connection can be made between the author's life and the novel? Okay? So, this book is a long one for our taste, and we have prepared a video to present to you the plots in which we acted. So here's the plot. It's a very long plot. It's 10 minutes and 30 seconds.
United States, 1906. Jarvis, a young man, Anna, a young woman, and all the family members arrived to the USA, specifically to Chicago, from Lithuania, in order for them to get better job opportunities and better quality life. After a few months living in the USA, Jarvis and Anna get married.
And Jarvis, tell me, what are we going to do?
I don't know what are we going to do now. This is not like Lithuania, where the people give you some money after you invite them to the wedding.
I know nobody gets a penny for actually these days.
I know, my dear, but I will work hard, and I will pay. I will get a lot of money here in America.
I hope so.
After a while living in the USA, everyone finds a job.
Finally made it! It was a long trip from Lithuania. Why do you think that?
Yes, son, I told you. We made it. We made it. We're finally in Chicago now.
Yes, now we are here in Chicago, and we finally got a position for the meat packing company. Now we have a work.
I'm so glad.
We are going to start our American dream now. I'm so happy.
Yes.
After the final job, they are offered a house who was cheap. However, they find that the house that was theoretically in good conditions was not.
This is the house?
Wait,
This is the house we paid for?
let me check. Yeah, this is the address. No, it's the ugliest house I've ever seen.
Oh, it looks very ugly.
Poor and James. Oh,
Yes, I
It
know.
looks very, very ugly. I thought that we would receive a better house.
This is awful, but we have no option.
I know.
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
We'll have to leave here.
Okay.
Now that the debts are too many, everyone is forced to find a job. Even Jarvis' father, an old man.
I'm freezing. It's so cold here. I'm so tired. This meat is so heavy. but I have to work. I have no option. It's so cold here, Dad.
Yes, son, but we have to be strong.
Yes, we have to work, I know. Everything because of the American dream. Right?
Yes.
Dad, what happened? Are you okay? Are you okay? Dad, wake up! What happened to you? Dad? No! Dad! Dad!
After Georgie's father's death, he is interested in joining the union so as to fight for the rights of the workers.
Now that I become part of the union, now I understand how the political network of this city works. It is so complex, but now I understand.
Now, Ona is pregnant, and her job has become too difficult for her.
Dad, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I have been working so hard without any rest at work. And I don't know, nobody needs to be worried about me. I'm about to have my child and I don't know what I'm going to do. Oh, my little boy. You're so beautiful and so tiny. And I have to leave you here because I have to work. I have to go back to work. Otherwise, we will not have money to pay the bills.
Sadly, Georgie sprains his ankle when working in the meat packing company, and he is forced to rest for 3 months.
Oh, this is so heavy. Oh, it's so heavy. Oh, my ankle. Oh, I think I broke my ankle. Oh, what I'm going to do now? I have to work. Now I broke my ankle. What I'm going to do? I have to work. I cannot wait. It's too much time. 3 months without working. I have to work. I have to do it because of my family. It hurts so much.
After resting for 3 months, Georgie returns to the meat packing company, but he is not given his job back again.
Now that I have recovered, now that I can work again, and they don't want to give me a position here again. This country is not what I have expected. It's not.
Georgie is forced to take a job at the fertilizer plant, the most demeaning job of them all.
Now that I've been kicked out from the meat packing company, I have to work here. The worst place ever. The fertilizer plant. This is disgusting. It smells so bad. And I have to fertilize so many plants. Well, I think I have no option. Everything because of my family.
Georgie finds out that Anna's boss is taking advantage of her. Eventually, he plans a revenge.
I hate you! I will never come back here again!
Connor! That's for you to know how to treat a woman.
Eventually, Georgie is sent to prison. Here, Georgie befriends Jack Twain, a Nazi bodyguard.
Who are you? Jarvis, who are you? I'm Jack Dwayne. Why are you here? Because I found Phil Connor, a very important man who was taking advantage of my wife. Well done, man. You got a feeling we're gonna be friends. Who knows?
After Georgie is set free, he finds a job in a workshop. and he has to work very hard as his family's economic condition is getting very, very poor.
Oh, my hand! It hurts so much. I don't even have gloves to protect my hands here. I hate this factory. But I need to work. I need to do it because of my son.
Sadly, Ona, Jerry's wife, dies, as well as Jerry's little boy, which has a profound effect on Jerry's.
I have no job. I know where my family is. My son is dead. I have nothing to fight for now.
Jergis realizes that drinking is not the solution for his problems. He decides to join the Socialist Party. Here, he finds a new motivation for his life.
Now that I have become part of the Socialist Party, they gave me a decent job as a worker here. I hope someday more people become socialists. More people do that, Chicago will be ours.
Very long plot, but I think that you enjoyed it. Now, let's move on to certain topics that are present and eventually the historical context. I said that this book was written between 1905 and 1906, right? During those times, the immigration was a touchstone for the American society during that time. Because mainly people that were suffering in the homelands, let's say, for instance, Scotland, Great Britain in general, and in this case, Lithuania, they are forced to leave their homelands because of the wars and the bad conditions that were present there. They moved to the prosperity that was present in the USA during these times. You know, industrialization, industries, factories, and modernization from in the USA led an image of prosperity among many countries in the world. Now I want to talk about muckraking journalism, which is a kind of journalism that was born in the early 20th century, which tries to depict the problems, social problems, economical problems from the lower classes and the mid classes. Next, we are going to see that this the person that wrote this book was a journalist, and in fact he had to, in the middle of the writing, in the process of writing the book, he entered working as a worker, obviously, a meat packing company. So he saw the reality. So most of the book was based on factual information rather than imagination. Realism. Now the American dream, which is another important topic here, because people came from other countries, believing that they would find a better conditions, better life. That's the American dream. However, it was not. It was like, instead of the American dream, it was the American nightmare, because so many problems, such as sanitation, lower class people did not have the opportunity to overcome this situation and become rich, for example. So capitalism did not allow people to succeed in their lives. economically. Now, the corruption within the capitalist system is kind of connected with what I'm talking about, is that this book is a concrete and concise critique or criticism against capitalism system. Because it was like slavery at the eyes of the writer. And I want to finish the historical context with this phrase, which was another author, another writer, analyzed the book, The Jungle, and he thought that the jungle was the Uncle Tom's Cabin of wage slavery. So we can see here that Uncle Tom's Cabin deals with slavery and all the suffering that slaves had to live during their lives because they were, slaves. But here, people were free. However, the capitalist system did not allow them to be free or to overcome these situations, economical situations, and for instance, people lost their family members and they were not happy whatsoever.
Now I'm going to talk about the author, Upton Sinclair. He was born September 20, 1878 in Baltimore, Maryland. His primary interest was in social change, and his concern for social and moral improvement in society was reflected on his writings. Novels, essays, pamphlets were some of the pieces of writing where he depicted social issues. During his childhood, he experienced two diverse realities, one from his father and another one from his mother. This because of, during this time, the financial failures of his father made him succumb into alcoholism. And on the other hand, his mother came from an affluent family, so he kind of experienced these two areas. At the age of 10, he moved to New York, and when he was 14, he entered the college of the city of New York. While living in New York, he acquired this ideology of socialism and advocacy for social change. When he finished his Bachelor of Art in the New York City College, he subsequently entered a graduate degree in the University of Columbia. But he couldn't finish it because he started writing a poetic novel called Springtime and Harvest, which he dedicated because of his decision about writing about poetry. Even though he had to leave this poetry side because the necessity of supporting his family and because of his job as a journalist, he had to stop writing poetry and started writing something more realistic. After that, when he was working as a journalist, he was sent to Chicago to cover the reality of the meat packing plants there. So this, as Claudio mentioned before, this being working there and experiencing all the reality that he lived in Chicago, this like this that he take and his observations were useful for him to later start writing the jungle. His literary works were not widely read and publicized because of the social change or social ideas that he had within her writings. But even though The Jungle was considered as one of the major bestsellers of American literature. In addition to the context that Claudio already mentioned, The Jungle exposed the appealing conditions of the meatpacking workers in Packington, in Chicago. This somehow helped to the American society be more like conscious about what these people had to live when working in the meatpacking companies. So there was a reform movement which was called the Progressives. They tried to moderate the reality of the companies, industries, and politics that they kind of hide. So they tried to expose what was behind these industries and politics at those times. Packington was the area of Chicago which included acres of slaughterhouses, feedlots, stockyards, meat processing plants, and also nearby housing areas. This was a widely known area of the city due to the working conditions and the living conditions that workers had to experience there. And as a result of this book, along with other social changes that were happening at those times, President Roosevelt passed two laws, which were the Meat Inspection Act of 1906 and the Pure Food and Drugs Act. This act allowed the first one, the Meat Inspection Act, allowed inspectors to check that the meat that was produced there was properly labeled and free of disease. Also, the Pure Food and Drugs Act was in charge of making sure that the meat produced was free of drugs and that the commerce of these kind of products was produced in the best way. Also, as a result of these two acts that were signed in 1906, consumers were more confident about the products that they were buying, and also the federal regulations that allowed different companies and industries to be properly, the process of meat making was better and more sanitary.
Okay, now we continue presentation talking about some of the most important themes in this novel. First of all, I'm going to talk about the American Dream. As Claudio mentioned, Jarvis and his family came from Lithuania looking for this American Dream. You have to know that the American Dream states that if you work hard, you can have a better quality life for you and your family. And it also states that there is no obstacles between the poor working men and success except for their own willingness or unwillingness to work. even though the author of this novel depicts the obstacles between the poor working men and success. Some of these obstacles are the lack of education, for instance, the lack of power, the lack of influence in society, and the high cost of living in the USA. Secondly, I'm going to talk about capitalism, which is also a very important topic. Sinclair believe it is something inhuman, destructive, and unjust. He believed that capitalism was an economic system which exploits the masses, the working class, millions of workers, just to make rich, powerful a few people. Now I'm going to talk about the wage slavery, which is another topic present along the novel. So as Claudia mentioned, the workers were set up as slaves, paid slaves. They were somehow slaves of their jobs. This system was commanded by the capitalists, who were the owners of the factories, and also politicians and businessmen, local businessmen. And it worked because of the owners of the factories. They kept the wages low in order to keep the workers poor. On the other hand, we have the politicians and the businessmen who were selling them low quality products, and they were always trying to take the money of the working class people through scams and as I said before, poor quality products. Another topic which is present along this novel is are the abuses of the food industry. The owners of this factory, they were motivating the workers to make and to use tricks in order to sell spoiled and contaminated meat. So doing that, they could save money, encouraging shortcuts and unsanitary conditions. I would like to highlight the workers who were doing those tricks, but the author of the book didn't blame on them because of this, because they were victims of the system and they didn't have the power enough to change all this system of the factories. Even though the public at those times became very upset over this, over the abuses. It was signed, because of this, it was signed the Pure Food and Drug Act in 1906 by President Roosevelt. Finally, I would like to talk about socialism. It's better than capitalism, according to the author of this novel. He states that capitalism is something bad, something brutal, something cruel for everyone. And socialist is somehow the cure to this sort of disease called capitalism. It's clear that the author tries to persuade the reader to make them think about socialism as a choice. Finally, I would like to highlight that he believed that capitalism destroys mainly for the benefit of a few people, the capitalists, and the socialists, on the contrary, works towards the benefit of everyone.
Now, I'm going to talk about the symbolism you find in this novel. And first of all, it is important to say that the jungle is not, it's pretty low on symbolism, because this book is intended to be a piece of muckraking journalism. Remember, these people are journalists who publish articles in order to expose the corruption in both business and politics. So in light of that, the author didn't want to use too many difficult symbols or metaphors when writing. So Sinclair, in this case, didn't want us, the readers, to get lost because of this overuse of fancy words or hidden messages. So that's why he kept the language straightforward. Let's say as simple as possible. But still, the first symbol we can find in the novel is the family house. So it represents the hopes and the dreams that Jarvis and his family had when they first arrived to America. So by means of reading the novel, you can notice that both the hopes and dreams of the family and the house started to fade away. So in consequence, this can be extremely connected with the theme recently presented by Sebastian, the one that has to do with living the American dream. So in this case, it is the clearest example of this sense of the illusion that Jarvis and his family experienced. So it is more like to say when things are not as you expect it to be. Now the second one is, are pigs. So pigs in here are represent this sense of innocence we all born with. So in this case, the Lithuanian immigrants are several times compared to these animals because they were described by the author. They were depicted as innocent creatures, are as easygoing animals, and most of the times they were described. The family were described as trusters. So in this case, we can state that the family can be compared with pigs because they were willing to work even though the substandard living and working conditions. The third one has to do with the cans of rotten meat, and Sinclair uses the cans of rotten meat to represent the corruption of capitalism and also the hypocrisy of the American dream. As you can see here, cans have a shiny or attractive surfaces, but they contain, let's say, contaminated meat, so which is unfit for human consumption. So under that premise, we can say that the American capitalists represent this attractive face to the immigrants, just for them to be stunned with this or astonished with this kind of world, so which turns to be like rotten and corrupt, what we can find within this camp. And finally, we have the novel's title, which is the jungle, and it symbolizes the competitive nature of capitalism. So in this case, the Sinclair's locus of attention is on the doctrine of social Darwinism. So it is an idea used by some 19th century thinkers that justified the abuses, the continuous abuses of wealthy capitalism. So this idea proposes that society was, let's say, designed to to follow natural order in which just the strongest or the fittest are going to survive. And the weakest people is supposed to follow the rules and to be just following the pace of their lives. So it's important to highlight here that the author wanted to rebut this idea of social Darwinism, because as you can notice by means of reading, the ones who survived in the novel weren't the most, the fittest, were just the corrupt, and were the corrupt, were the people who was living unfairly and who was treated the poor workers with these unfair laws. And I think that brings us to the end of our presentation. And
Thank you.
Now, before you ask something, we will ask you something. So, the first question was, what is muckraking journalism? Does anyone want to answer that? Or should I pick one? Is that 10? What is muckraking journalism?
Kind of journalism that expose cases of corruption in politics and business.
Yes.
do you consider that the author, in this case Upton Sinclair, was a muckraker journalist?
Yes, because he exposes the negative aspects of capitalism.
Does anyone want to add more information to Sebastian's answer?
All right.
The second one, do you consider that the jungle had any impact on American society? Does anyone would like to answer?
Leonida?
Yes, I think it has an impact because of the main theme, in my point of view, that is the American dream. It's supposed to be a good thing that happened to America, but it was like the contrary because of the hard working conditions and all of
Anyone else? Something to add?
Yeah.
I would like to add that the working conditions are better now in America, but in terms of politics, it has not great impact because American society, as you know, is strongly capitalist, and that hasn't changed.
Yeah, I see your point, and I agree with you.
So I consider that the working conditions are good now, better than in the past. But capitalism is still the same, and rich people are getting richer, and poor people are getting poorer.
So you're trying to say that the impact in here is like in the improving the hygiene and all that stuff, more than in the yeah.
I think that, well, just to finish this question, I think that the jungle could have had an impact on American society in the way that there were acts that were created just to guarantee people, for instance, that the meat or drugs for diseases were clean. So there was an insurance that people were eating well and was safer. That's it.
Also, would like to add that I consider very important impact on American society because of the things which were present in this novel was the food and drug law. was signed in 1906, which was an improvement at those times in order to finish with these bad quality conditions for workers.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the sausages we actually eat nowadays are, let's say, better than the ones we ate in the past because of the proclamation of this law and because of also the research that the author has done.
Finally, the third question: what connection can be made between the author's life and the novel? Anyone?
Because the protagonist of the book and the author work in a meat packing. Yes, meat packing company.
Do you consider that was useful for the author in order to write the book?
Yes, because in that way they could get information from that and make the book more accurate, and also give support that what he was written was real. In fact, it happened.
Yes, as Cecilia said, that was very useful for the author of the book. We can't forget he wrote sort of a muckraking journalism novel. So for he to be there, seeing everything from the inside, was very useful to write in order to write this novel.
Well, it is important to highlight that the author was also part of the Socialist Party during his life, which is also reflected on the protagonist of the novel, Jarvis, who after being in jail also became part of the Socialist Party and started fighting for workers' rights, as well as the author did when publishing different writings regarding social issues. So besides the description and the reality of the meatpacking company, it is also important that socialism was also reflected in both the author's life and the protagonist's life.
Yes, as Bruno said, it is important to highlight that at the end of this novel, there is a phrase which says more people become socialists, Chicago will change and will be ours. So the author tries to show that socialism can be this sort of cure for the evils of capitalism.
So, but still we can, it is a matter of perspective. We can think that the author is not trying to let's say, to give a cure for the society. We can think that he's trying to persuade the audience to become a socialist. So, as you can see, it is a matter of perspective. So, finally, just for me to be sure, if everyone is familiar with this concept of social Darwinism? Yes? Christian? Can you explain?
Sure.
Yeah.
It has to do with, it's like natural selection. So you have to be able to survive in the natural world by means of your skills. And in society it means you are able to work, so you make money and you can survive.
Yeah. That's it.
Feel free to ask questions.